boat yesterday, but too many storms have come and gone, leaving a trace of not one God-given race.
This VH1 News Flash is sponsored by General Motors.
Lisa Left Eye Lopes was behind the wheel in a fatal car crash. That story next. Lopes of R&B trio TLC was behind the wheel in a fatal car crash Thursday in Honduras. Lopes, who was not licensed, was driving a Mitsubishi SUV carrying 7 other passengers. Reports say she lost control of the vehicle while going too fast.
Behind every timeless R&B classic, behind every platinum record, and behind every standing ovation, there's often a story that the public never really sees. The world remembers the hit songs, the chart-topping albums, and the unforgettable performances. But for many of R&B's greatest artists, fame came with unimaginable heartbreak. Some battled with addiction, others endured abusive relationships, while some lost their lives in shocking acts of violence, tragic accidents, or devastating illness. Since part 1 did so well, today I'm looking at 13 more tragic stories of R&B groups and singers whose lives forever changed music history. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. During the golden era of 90s R&B, few groups captured the sound of romance quite like H-Town. With silky harmonies, heartfelt ballads, and unforgettable slow jams, the trio became one of the defining voices of the decade. At the center of that success was their lead singer, Dino. His smooth, tenured voice helped make H-Town one of the biggest R&B groups of the early 90s. The group was discovered and mentored by Devontae Swain of the R&B group Jodeci, who signed them to his Swing Mob collective. In 1993, H-Town released their debut album, Fever for the Flavor. The album became a massive success, driven by the #1 R&B hit song, Knockin' the Boots.
Give me some good love, somebody rockin', knockin'.
They was known for their other songs, such as Nice and Slow, and Part-Time Lover, to mention a few. With their signature harmonies and sensual style, H-Town quickly became one of the most popular male R&B groups of the decade. But just as the group was preparing for another chapter in its career, tragedy struck. Then on January 28, 2003, Dino and his girlfriend Taisha was struck at a red light when a speeding SUV crashed into the side of their car, injecting both Taisha and Dino into a parking lot. Dino was just 28 years old, while his girlfriend was 22. His sudden passing devastated his family, bandmates, and fans all around the world. The accident brought an abrupt end to one of the greatest R&B voices of the 90s. The 90s introduced the world to a new generation of powerful female R&B groups. Among the most talented was Brownstone, a group known for breathtaking harmonies, emotional ballads, and unforgettable performance. At the center of that success was the lead singer, Maxee Maxwell, whose rich, soulful voice helped make Brownstone one of the most defining female groups of the decade. But behind the music was a life marked by resilience, personal struggles, and a heartbreaking ending. Born in Guyana, Maxine later moved to the United States, where she pursued her dream of becoming a professional singer. The dream became reality when she joined Brownstone. Their 1995 debut album featured hit singles including If You Love Me,
If you want me, if you need me, if you
and Grapevine. The album earned critical acclaim and established Brownstone as one of the premier R&B groups of the era. Maxee's expressive lead vocals became one of the group's defining strengths. On February 28, 2015, tragedy struck. Maxwell passed away after an accident in Los Angeles. She was at her home when she fell and cut her throat on a drinking glass that shattered during the fall. She passed shortly afterwards in the hospital at the age of 46. Her passing shocked the fans who remember her as one of the great voices of the 1990s R&B. Tributes poured in from fellow musicians and listeners who celebrated her talent. Although her life ended far too soon, Maxee's legacy continues through the timeless music of Brownstone. In the golden era of soul music, there was artists whose voices carried so much emotion that they seemed destined for greatness. One of those voices belongs to Darrell Banks. With a powerful gospel-influenced delivery, raw emotion, and a voice that was filled with pain and passion, Darrell Banks became one of the most respected singers of the 60s soul movement. Although his career was brief, his influence continues to be celebrated by fans of classic R&B and Northern Soul. His breakthrough came in 1966 with the release of Open the Door to Your Heart. The song became a major success, reaching the top 10 of the R&B charts and becoming one of the most recognized Northern Soul classics. Many fans consider him as one of the most overlooked stars of the 60s, a performer who had the talent to stand alongside some of the biggest names of the era. But despite his abilities, the music industry was changing quickly, and Banks never reached the level of mainstream fame that he was destined. On February 24, 1970, his life came to a tragic end. Banks was shot and unalive in Detroit, Michigan at the age of 32. According to reports, the shooting happened after a confrontation that involved Banks and his girlfriend, and also a Detroit police officer that was named Aaron Bullock. Bullock claimed that he acted in self-defense, and the case resulted into a controversial legal outcome. The passing of Darrell Banks shocked the soul music community. A singer with so much potential was suddenly gone. His story represents one of soul music's greatest what-ifs. During the 70s and 80s, few R&B bands blended funk, soul, and smooth harmonies as successfully as Confunction. With hits like Fun, Shake and Dance With Me, Chase Me, Love's Train, and Straight From the Heart. The group became one of the defining acts of the era. At the heart of that sound was drummer, songwriter, and founding member Louis McCall. His steady rhythms and creative vision helped shape Confunction's unmistakable groove. But behind the band's success was a tragedy that shocked music fans all around the world. On June 25, 1997, Louis McCall was found unalive outside of a friend's home in Stone Mountain, Georgia, from an apparent victim of a home invasion robbery. The sudden loss devastated McCall's family, friends, and bandmates. Confunction not only lost its drummer, but also lost its founding creative forces. Although McCall's life ended far too soon, his musical legacy lives on. The songs he helped create remain staples of classic R&B and funk radio. Confunction continues to be recognized as one of the most important bands of his era, and McCall's contributions are an essential part of that legacy. In the history of soul music, there are artists whose voices do more than entertain. They reveal the deepest emotions of the human experience. Few singers embody that feeling more than Donny Hathaway, a gifted vocalist, songwriter, arranger, and musician. Hathaway possessed one of the most powerful and emotionally expressive voices ever heard in R&B. Known as the soul singer's soul singer, Donny Hathaway helped create some of the most heartfelt music of the 70s. But behind his extraordinary talent was a man battling personal struggles that untimely ended in tragedy. In the early 70s, Donny Hathaway released a series of recordings that established him as one of the greatest voices of his generation. His collaboration with Roberta Flack produced some of the most beloved duets in R&B history. While fans saw a brilliant performer on stage, Hathaway was privately dealing with some serious emotional and mental health challenges. Throughout the 70s, he experienced periods of depression, and he was diagnosed to be schizophrenic. His struggles affected his career and his ability to consistently perform. Friends and fellow musicians often describe him as a deeply sensitive and creative person whose emotional intensity was both his gift and his burden. Despite these challenges, Hathaway continued creating music that connected with millions. On January 13, 1979, Donny Hathaway passed at the age of 33. His body was discovered outside of the SS Hotel in Manhattan after he had fallen through the 15th floor window of his hotel room. Authorities ruled his passing as a suicide. Although questions and speculations had surrounded the circumstances for many years, the music world was devastated. A singer who had touched so many lives was gone so soon. Although Donny Hathaway's career only lasted a short time, his influence is undeniable. His emotional honesty, vocal power, and musical intelligence influenced generations of singers, including artists in R&B, soul, jazz, and gospel. Few artists have ever combined talent, vulnerability, and social awareness as the way Marvin Gaye did. Known as the Prince of Motown and later the Prince of Soul, Marvin Gaye became one of the greatest singers, songwriters, and producers in music history. His voice could deliver romance, heartbreak, spirituality, and protest with equal power. But behind the timeless music was a man battling personal pain, family conflict, and emotional struggles that would lead into one of the most shocking tragedies in music history. Marvin Gaye grew up in a strict religious household. Music became both an escape and a calling. After serving in the Air Force, he began singing with various vocal groups. He joined Motown Records in the early 60s under the guidance of Berry Gordy. Marvin quickly became one of the label's brightest stars. He also created some legendary duets with Tammy Terrell. The duo chemistry produced some of the greatest love songs that was ever recorded. In 1971, Marvin Gaye took a creative risk that changed soul music forever. His landmark album, What's Going On, addressed war, poverty, environmental issues, and social injustice. At a time when Motown was primarily known for its pop hits, Marvin insisted on making a deeply personal and political record. The result became one of his greatest albums ever recorded. He later followed it up with singles such as Let's Get It On,
And if you feel like I feel,
I Want You, and Sexual Healing.
so fine, helps to really.
This proved that he could move effortlessly between social commentary and sensual soul music. By the early 80s, Marvin Gaye was recognized as one of the most important artists in the world. Despite his success, he faced some serious personal challenges. He struggled with depression, financial problems, substance abuse, and the emotional impact of failed relationships, including the one with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr. Friends and family describe years of tension, arguments, and unresolved pain between the father and son. As Marvin's personal life became increasingly troubled, those close to him worried about his emotional well-being. Then sadly, on April 1st, 1984, one day before Marvin's 45th birthday, a family argument inside Gaye's home escalated into violence. During the confrontation, Marvin Gaye Sr. shot his son. Marvin Gaye was rushed to the hospital, but he passed away from his injuries. He was just 44 years old. The news stunned the world. One of the greatest voices in music history was unalived by his own father. The tragedy remains one of the most heartbreaking and shocking events ever to occur in the entertainment industry.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Hart.
And I'm Ron Hendren. Soul singer Marvin Gaye, whose career spanned over 25 years, including the birth of the Motown sound to the 80s, was shot to death yesterday in Los Angeles. Dick Shoemaker reports.
69-year-old Marvin Gaye Sr. was taken to police headquarters in downtown Los Angeles last night after being booked on suspicion of murder in the death of his son. Marvin Gaye was visiting his parents' home here in Los Angeles. There was a family argument. The singer was shot in the chest. A little while later, Marvin Gaye died.
Marvin Gaye Sr. armed himself with a handgun and fired several shots, wounding Marvin Gaye Jr. Marvin Gaye Jr. was taken to California Hospital where he was pronounced dead from gunshot wounds at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
What can I say? It is a tragedy. I love Marvin, and I'm very sorry what happened.
Family and friends were shocked and wept openly in the wake of the killing, and a crowd gathered in front of the Gaye home. Police say the singer and his father started arguing over insurance matters Saturday night, resuming the argument Sunday. Marvin Gaye Sr. is expected to be arraigned sometime this week.
When people think about the Temptations, they often remember the smooth choreography, impeccable harmonies, and the legendary voices that helped define the Motown sound. But before David Ruffin's powerful lead vocals on songs like My Girl, there was another founding member whose voice, charisma, and leadership helped shape the group from the very beginning. His name was Paul Williams, known as the emotional heart of the Temptations. Paul Williams possessed a rich baritone voice and was instrumental in the development of the group's polished stage performance. Yet behind the applause and success, Williams was quietly battling personal demons that would lead into one of the most heartbreaking tragedies in Motown history. As the Temptations' popularity soared during the 60s, Paul Williams faced increasingly personal challenges. He struggled with alcoholism, which also affected his health and his performances. Doctors also diagnosed him with sickle cell. Despite his declining condition, Williams continued touring as long as he could. Eventually, his health made it difficult for him to perform consistently. Then, in 1971, Paul officially left the group to focus on his health and recovery. But sadly, on August 17, 1973, tragedy struck. Paul Williams was found inside of his car in a Detroit alley after suffering a gunshot wound. He was only 34 years old. Authorities ruled his passing as a suicide. However, the details surrounding his passing has been brought into question. According to the coroner, Williams was left-handed and he was shot on the left side of his head, but since the pistol was located on the right side and the alcohol bottle was recovered from his left side, as if he dropped it when he was shot. Over the years, some family members, friends, and fans have questioned the aspects of the investigation and wonder whether if all the circumstance was fully understood. Despite those questions, no official evidence has been overturned. His passing devastated the Temptations and the entire Motown community. The loss of one of the group's founding members left an emotional scar that remained with the surviving members for decades. There are great singers, and then there are voices that come along only once in a lifetime. Whitney Houston wasn't just one of the biggest stars in music history. She was one of the greatest vocalists the world have ever known. With unmatched power, effortless range, and emotional depth, Whitney broke records, crossed musical boundaries, and inspired generations of artists. But behind the fame, fortune, and extraordinary success was a woman who struggled under the pressures of stardom, personal challenges, and addiction. Her story is one of incredible achievement and heartbreaking loss. Whitney began singing in church before transitioning into modeling and eventually singing with Arista Records under the guidance of record executive Clive Davis. Her 1985 self-titled debut album became one of the best-selling albums by a female artist at the time, producing timeless hit records including Saving All My Love for You,
All my love for you.
How Will I Know, and a vocal perfection and crossover appeal made her an international sensation almost overnight. Her second album, Whitney, made history as the first album by a female to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200. She followed it with countless classics, including I Want to Dance with Somebody, Didn't We Almost Have It All, and I'm Your Baby Tonight, to mention a few. In 1992, she starred in the movie The Bodyguard. The film became a worldwide success, and the soundtrack featured one of the most unforgettable renditions of I Will Always Love You, which her version is one of the best-selling singles in music history. By the mid-90s, Whitney Houston had become one of the most biggest entertainers on the planet. Despite her enormous success, she faced personal challenges. Her marriage to Bobby Brown was heavily scrutinized by the media, and the couple's relationship often made headlines. Over time, Whitney also struggled with substance abuse, health issues, and the relentless pressures of living under constant public attention. Although she attempted several comebacks and remained deeply loved by her fans, the personal battles she faced became increasingly difficult. On February 11, 2012, the music world was stunned by devastating news. Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in the bathtub of her hotel room, just hours before a pre-Grammy Awards event. Crazy enough, Clive Davis decided to continue with his Grammy Award party while Whitney's body lay unalive upstairs. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled that Whitney accidentally drowned and that she suffered with heart disease and cocaine use. All of these was identified as contributing factors to her passing. Her passing shocked the fans all around the world, and millions mourned the loss of a singer whose voice had become the soundtrack to countless lives. She won hundreds of awards, sold more than 2 million records worldwide, and inspired generations of singers, including Beyonce, Mariah Carey, and Jennifer Hudson, to mention a few. Her vocal performance remains standard by which many artists are measured by.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Adam May. Whitney Houston was found dead inside a Beverly Hills hotel. Her sudden death has shocked the entire world. And tonight, Begad Shaban reports for WJZ on what police are saying about her sudden death.
Whitney Houston was America's sweetheart, rising to pop stardom in the 1980s and inspiring a generation of younger singers. Her life came to an abrupt end here at the Beverly Hilton. She was pronounced dead in her room on the 4th floor.
We have no obvious signs of anything at this time. We're still too fresh, and it's currently being investigated. Our detectives are upstairs right now.
Houston was scheduled to appear at a pre-Grammy party at the hotel. It's hosted by Clive Davis, the music producer who discovered her.
Few artists have successfully reinvented themselves across multiple eras of music. From pioneering hip-hop to classic R&B to the neo-soul movement, Angie Stone built a remarkable career that spanned more than 4 decades. Known for her rich, soulful voice and heartfelt songwriting, Angie became one of the defining voices of contemporary soul music. But after years of inspiring artists all around the world, her life came to a tragic and unexpected end. In the late 70s, she was a member of the first female rap group, The Sequence. The group was known for their hit, Funk You Up, that became a landmark recording. She helped pave the way for women in hip-hop, and the song was later sampled by numerous of artists. After the sequence, Angie continued evolving as an artist, working with the R&B trio Vertical Hold before launching a solo career that would make her a household name. Angie's breakthrough as a solo artist came with her 1999 debut album, Black Diamond. The album introduced audience to her warm, expressive voice and featured the hit song, No More Rain. She followed with critically acclaimed albums that included timeless songs such as Wish I Didn't Miss You,
To you I shall give all the space that you.
Brother,
I'll never try to hurt you. I want you to.
and Baby.
Baby, baby. You needed loving. I was your baby, 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 baby.
Angie's music blended classic soul with modern R&B, making her one of the leading figures of the neo-soul movement, alongside artists such as Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and D'Angelo. She also wrote songs for other artists and acted in films and televisions. And throughout her career, she remained a respected presence in the music industry for decades. But sadly, on March 1st, 2025, tragedy struck. After performing in Alabama, Angie Stone was traveling with members of her team when the vehicle she was riding in was involved in a serious traffic accident in Montgomery County, Alabama. According to some eyewitnesses, Angie made it out of the Sprinter van. Then she was tragically struck by a semi-truck. Stone passed for her injuries sustained in the accident, and she was only 63 years old. The news shocked the music world, prompting an outpouring of tributes from fellow artists and friends. Angie Stone leave behind far more than hit records. She helped break barriers as an early female rapper. She became one of the defining voices of neo-soul, and she proved that authenticity and timeless songwriting never goes out of style. Her music continues to inspire artists and comfort listeners all around the world.
Weekend involving a well-known singer and songwriter. R&B singer Angie Stone has passed away. Her longtime publicist announced Saturday the singer died in this car crash in Montgomery, Alabama. She had just wrapped up a concert on Friday in Mobile and was headed to Atlanta when the crash happened, and Stone was supposed to perform in Baltimore later that day at the CIAA tournament. Stone's career.
This morning, new details in the tragic death of Grammy-nominated R&B singer Angie Stone. She died in a car accident back in March. Her children have now filed a lawsuit claiming Stone survived the initial accident and was trying to escape the van she was riding in with her bandmates. It claims that she was killed when a tractor-trailer crashed into the van. The lawsuit blames the drivers and owners of both vehicles, along with the collision system in the truck, saying it failed to stop or detect the van. Stone was returning to Atlanta from a performance in Mobile, Alabama at the time of the crash.
In the mid-90s, R&B was changing. A new generation of artists was bringing soul music back to its roots, blending classic influence with hip-hop, jazz, gospel, and funk. And at the center of that movement was D'Angelo, with his extraordinary musicianship, soulful voice, and groundbreaking albums. D'Angelo became one of the architects of neo-soul. But just as he began to reach the height of his fame, he disappeared. His story is one of an artist who struggled with the pressures of being a celebrity, addiction, and the overwhelming expectations that came with success. He is a gifted singer, songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist. He developed a sound that drew inspirations from legends like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Prince, and Sly Stone. In 1995, he released his debut album, Brown Sugar, that featured hits like Brown Sugar, Lady, and Cruising. The album was a critical and commercial success, and they helped launch the neo-soul movement alongside artists such as Erykah Badu, Maxwell, and Lauryn Hill. In 2000, D'Angelo released his second album, Voodoo, now widely regarded as one of the greatest R&B albums ever made. The album features songs such as Untitled, Send It On,
So I'm
Devil's Pie,
at a time. Watch them all stand in line for slice of devil's pie.
and Chicken Grease.
From the left to right, to the back, to the middle and front. But don't.
The album won Grammy Awards and it was praised for its musicianship, evocative production, and deep emotional expression. However, one thing unexpectedly changed D'Angelo's life. The music video for Untitled, How Does It Feel? The video focused almost entirely on D'Angelo's physique, making him an international sex symbol. While it brought enormous attention to his career, D'Angelo later explained that he became uncomfortable with the public's focus on his appearance rather than his music. Following the success of Voodoo, D'Angelo largely stepped away from the spotlight. He struggled with the intense pressures of fame and the loss of his close friend and mentor, Fred Jordan. He also dealt with personal battles with alcohol and other challenges. During this time, he also faced legal issues. Rather than continue to chase commercial success, D'Angelo chose to focus on his personal well-being. For many fans, his absence became one of music's greatest mysteries. After nearly 15 years away from releasing a studio album, D'Angelo returned in 2014 with the album Black Messiah. The album received widespread acclaim and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard R&B charts. The album also won a Grammy Award for Best R&B Album. Critics praise it as the work of an artist who remained true to his vision despite years away from the spotlight. His comeback reminded the world that his talent never disappeared. Then, shockingly, on October 14th, 2025, D'Angelo passed away from pancreatic cancer at the age of 51. At the time of his passing, he was working on his 4th album with Raphael Saadiq. A family member told People magazine that D'Angelo has been in hospice for 2 weeks and he was hospitalized for months. His passing came 7 months after the passing of Angie Stone.
Grammy-winning singer D'Angelo has died. His family tells ET the R&B icon died Tuesday after a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer. He was only 51 years old.
Some voices are so powerful and so emotional that they leave an unforgettable mark, no matter how short that time was in the spotlight. One of those voices belongs to Lena Jones. Known for her soaring vocals and heartfelt performances, Jones became one of the most admired soul singers of the late 60s. Her music influenced generations of R&B artists, yet her life ended just as her career began to reach new heights. Everything changed in 1967 when she signed with Loma Records and released the emotional ballad Hypnotized. The song became a major R&B hit, reaching the top 5 on the R&B charts. Her dramatic vocal delivery, marked by passionate high notes and deep emotional expression, earned comparisons to some of the greatest soul singers of its era. Many industry insiders believe that she was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest voices in R&B history. Her performances showcased not only remarkable vocal power, but also a level of emotion that made every song feel deeply personal. But sadly, on March 14th, 1972, tragedy struck. While preparing for a performance at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, Jones was staying at her mother's place to get some rest in between shows. Jones was a diabetic for most of her life, and while sleeping, she had fell into a diabetic coma, where she unfortunately lost her life. She was only 27 years old. Her sudden passing shocked the music community. Fans and fellow artists was devastated that such a talented performer had lost their life far too early. Although Lena Jones' career only lasted a few years, her impact had endured for decades. Her recordings became favorites among collectors of classic soul and northern soul, particularly in the United Kingdom, where her music continues to be celebrated. In the 90s, no female group dominated music quite like TLC. With a fearless attitude, groundbreaking style, and chart-topping hits that changed the landscape of R&B and hip-hop music forever. At the heart of that success was one of the most unique personalities in music history, Lisa Lopes, better known to the world as Left Eye. She was the group's rapper, creative visionary, and outspoken spirit. But behind her colorful personality was a woman searching for peace while facing personal struggles, public scrutiny, and untimely, a heartbreaking tragedy. The trio quickly became one of the most successful groups of the decade. Their debut album, Ooh on the TLC Tip, introduced a fresh blend of R&B, hip-hop, and pop. But it was their follow-up albums, Crazy Sexy Cool and Fan Mail, that made them global stars. Together, TLC produced timeless hits, including Waterfalls,
For the 7 days, and like his promise is true, won't leave my faith can undo. The many chances I bleed through that bring my life.
Creep, No Scrubs, and Red Light Special, to mention a few. Lisa's gritty rap verses and creative ideas helped give the group a distinctive identity. While TLC's success continued to grow, the group began to have some internal problems, and Left Eye pursued a brief solo career. During her brief solo career, she scored 2 US top 10 singles with Not Tonight
Ain't having that shit. If you ain't got the cash to stash, suck my dick hoes. Strictly your bell ringer.
and You Know What's Up.
The passion's deep and filled with heat. Living this life on the hustle, I barely get enough time. You know me from the
As well as one UK #1 hit single with Never Be the Same Again.
What I'm saying, my mind frame never changed till you came and rearranged. But sometimes it seems completely.
She also produced another girl group, BLAQUE, who scored a platinum album and 2 US top 10 hits. She is also the only member of TLC to ever have a solo album. Lisa's personal life often made headlines. Her highly publicized relationship with NFL player Andre Rison became one of the most talked about celebrity relationships of the 90s. In 1994, after an argument, Lisa set fire to his mansion. She later accepted responsibilities for her action and completed legal consequences. She also openly discussed the incident as one of the lowest points of her life. In the years that followed, Lisa spoke about wanting to grow spiritually and emotionally. She explored hostilic healing, wrote music, and sought for a more peaceful path away from the pressures of fame. In April of 2002, Lisa traveled to Honduras while working on personal projects and documenting her journey. On April 25, 2022, while driving an SUV, she swerved in an apparent attempt to avoid another vehicle. The SUV crashed, and Lisa Lopes, she was unalive. She was only 30 years old. The accident was captured on video while she was filming her documentary, which made the loss even more heartbreaking for fans all around the world, witnessing her last moments. Although her life ended far too soon, Lisa Lopes' influence continued to shape music today. As a member of TLC, she helped sell more than 65 million records worldwide and inspired generations of female artists to embrace individuality, creativity, and authenticity. She challenged stereotypes. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, and she encouraged young people to think for themselves. Her story is one of extraordinary talent, remarkable creativity, and a life interrupted before its next chapter could begin. The late 90s introduced the world to a new generation of talented female R&B groups. Among the most promising was BLAQUE, a trio that was known for its smooth harmonies, confident style, and crossover appeal. At the heart of the group was the rapper, singer, songwriter, and actress Natina Reed. In the mid-90s, she performed with BLAQUE alongside Shamari Fierce and Brandy Williams. The group caught the attention of Lopes of TLC, who became their mentor and helped them secure a recording contract. BLAQUE's self-titled debut album, released in 1999, was a commercial success, producing the hit singles and I Do.
Can nobody ever say I don't love my man.
BLAQUE quickly became one of the most recognizable female R&B groups of the time. Natina also expanded into acting, appearing in the 2000 hit film Bring It On, where her memorable performance introduced her to even a wider audience. As the music industry changed in the early 2000s, BLAQUE momentum slowed down, but Natina, she remained active in songwriting and entertainment. She was also known for her relationship with rapper Corrupt. Despite personal and professional challenges, Natina stayed connected to the music, and she looked forward to returning with BLAQUE. In 2012, the trio reunited and they was planning to make new music, giving fans hope that BLAQUE was ready for a successful comeback. But unfortunately, on the night of October 26, 2012, just 2 days before her 33rd birthday, Natina Reed was walking alongside the road in Georgia when she was struck by a vehicle and passed away from her injuries. Authorities determined that the driver was not impaired and that the incident was just a tragic accident. What made the loss even more painful was that not only Natina, but her mentor, Lopes, both lost their lives due to car accidents. Although her life ended far too soon, Natina Reed's influence continued to live on through the music she created. BLAQUE helped define the sound of the late 90s R&B, blending smooth vocals with hip-hop influence and empowering messages. Natina's songwriting, unique rap style, and creative vision played a major role into the group's success. Honestly, Left Eye influence also played a huge role into the group's success. If you know the TLC story, then you know all of the futuristic things that Left Eye wanted to do, she basically did with this group, and it was successful.
Over the next several years, Brandy, Natina, and Shamari had largely settled into life outside of BLAQUE. But in 2012, that changed when they were invited to perform together at a Left Eye tribute festival. Reconnecting proved to be an emotional experience.
We had our first studio session, and it's like so much she had to say to me. Just like she was apologizing for everything. She wanted to get it all out, and I was taken back, but it was great. And it was like having my sister back.
Me and Brandy and Natina all went and we performed 808 on stage, which was super cool. Just to finally get back on stage, it meant more than I can even express right now.
When they came back together, boy, the bond was so strong. Nothing was going to separate these three girls. But then, within a couple of days after that, I got a call. And on the other line was Sky. And they said to me, "You haven't heard?" And I said, "Heard what?" And it said, "Mom, Natina's dead."
These 13 stories reminds us that behind every legendary voice was a human being with dreams, struggles, and challenges. While their lives ended far too soon or was marked by unimaginable hardship, the music they created continues to comfort, inspire, and unite generations of fans. Their songs became timeless, their stories became history, and their legacy continues to live on every time their music is played. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into untold stories of classic R&B, soul, and funk. And let me know in the comments below what artist story impacted you the most.